You're listening to the Rudy and Ryan Show on SportstownChicago.com.
You know why I'm here. I'm just about that action, boss. They know why I'm here. I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Fight. And welcome to the Rudy and Ryan Show right here on SportstownChicago.com. Today you can listen to us on Sportstown Chicago 2. You have to go to SportstownChicago.com and go across the tab, and you will see STC2. That is where you'll be able to listen to us. You can follow us on Facebook at The Rudy and Ryan Show, and also follow us on Twitter at The Rudy and Ryan Show. You can also reach us at 773-312-3563. That number again is 773-312-3563. We have a predominantly heavy show today of NBA and NFL, because that's pretty much what's going on in the sports world today. So we're going to get going right away. We're going to start talking about the Bulls and the Celtics, and we'll finish off with the rest of the NBA playoffs for this first hour. Rudy, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Steven. Yourself?
Doing outstanding. We're going to jump right into it. We're going to get to talking Bulls and Celtics. Since last week's show, the Bulls were up 1-0, and then the next game they were able to take advantage again of their matchup against the Celtics, and then something happened to Rajon Rondo. His hand got hurt, obviously. He was out the past 2 games, and the Celtics have been able to battle back. What have the Celtics been able to capitalize on in Rondo's absence?
So I think the biggest thing, Steven, is that Rondo runs the offense himself. So with Jerian Aaron or Michael Carter-Williams or even Isiah Cannon out there, who played very well last night. He had 13 points, 3 assists, and 2 rebounds. And he gave them a real spark on defense, too. He chased Isiah Thomas all over the floor. But Rondo, he's a floor general out there. He doesn't need to look to the coach to see what play to run because he knows what he's going to run. I'm a big fan of Rondo out there. I like Fred Hoiberg as a guy. I'm not sure how I feel about him as a coach. It's been 2 years now. Still not seeing that offensive spark that he was supposed to provide. So I'm kind of missing Rajon Rondo, and I think the whole team is. He was averaging 11.5 points, 10 assists, and 8.5 rebounds. The Bulls are really struggling to really run sets, and I understand that they've been making these pushes and cutting leads. They even took a 65-63 lead in this game. However, you shouldn't have to expend that much energy to get back into a game. You shouldn't let a team pull away by 20 points to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. It was 65-63 with, 3 minutes left in the third quarter yesterday?
Yep.
And you knew Jimmy Butler was taxed, and he had to go guard Isiah Thomas, which was a whole different animal in itself. Our friend Fred Hoiberg had some choice words about Mr. Isiah Thomas. Let's take it here.
Isiah Thomas is a hell of a player, an unbelievable competitor. He's a warrior, everything he's going through right now. He had a hell of a game tonight. But when you're allowed to discontinue your dribble on every possession, he is impossible to guard. He's impossible to guard when you're able to put your hand underneath the ball and take 2 or 3 steps and put it back down. It's impossible to guard him in those situations.
Well, obviously, if I was able to walk with the ball freely, I would be unstoppable as well. But I don't think it was happening all game long. But you did show me some video evidence earlier of him literally handing the ball off to his other hand without it hitting the floor first.
Yes.
And then he continued his dribble. I mean, Fred Hoiberg does have a point.
Sure.
But it seems like he's kind of whining about the refs and all that stuff. Because, again, it just seems like there's no passion behind it. Because, again, he has to keep that straight-faced demeanor. That's just how I think that's why the Bulls management loves him so much. So, again, what can the Bulls do to stop Isiah Thomas in the Celtics offense?
Sure. So just to touch on that for a second again. So on the TNT postgame show, Shaq even said that he absolutely agrees with Hoiberg's point and that it makes total sense to him. But smaller point guards have been doing that for a long time. And he referenced Muggsy Bogues, he referenced Spud Webb, Allen Iverson, that these guys were getting away with that a long time ago. So what makes him think that all of a sudden Isiah Thomas isn't going to get away with it? But I think the main point that Fred's trying to make that is if he even gets one call from that, that makes Isiah Thomas think about it the next time before he blatantly travels or double dribbles.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I agree with that. Again, you got to give. I mean, he's already disadvantaged in height at 5'9". So, I mean, maybe the refs, again, are just giving him a free willing of the pass. They feel bad for him or something of that nature. Because even when, he gets hit, it looks bad.
Yes.
Obviously, when, Butler bumps into him, Thomas is going to go flying.
That call on that 3 yesterday was awful. Nobody touched him. He came off a screen hard. He was being chased, and he kind of just...
The one on Cannon?
Yeah, he threw his head up and kind of flailed, and they gave him the call.
Let's talk about Isiah Cannon for a minute.
Sure.
That man gave inspired effort yesterday.
Oh, very inspired.
Matched up well, same height, battle of the short people. I love that when it comes to basketball because
he was inactive for the first game of the series, too.
I know, exactly. I mean, you obviously had to try something different because the offense before he came in was nothing. Nothing at all. And I understand he's undersized, so technically he's a defensive liability. But when the other point guard's 5'9", he has the quickness to stay with him. So I actually like when Isiah Thomas is in there. You give Jimmy Butler a break. Let him guard Jay Crowder or Avery Bradley, someone who's not that big of an offensive threat. Because you're going to need Jimmy Butler's offense now to win this series if you want any shot at all.
Sure. Let's talk about Jimmy a little bit, too. So we had 33 points, 9 assists, because, I mean, I think we see more of Jimmy playing point guard now than ever. He kind of becomes the guy who runs the offense, and it's difficult for Jimmy to do that. So if you see, they're trying to get a lot of pick and rolls at the top, trying to get some switches where Isiah Thomas is on Jimmy. Then you see Jimmy going to the post right away. 33, 9, and 5 for Jimmy, 19 to 23 from the free throw line. Went to the free throw line 23 times. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so many attempts from the free throw line, and then to not win that game. I was a little upset with Dwayne Wade, 11 points. He did have a big bucket when the Celtics went on a couple runs. He came back down the court, took the ball into the post, got a smaller guy on him like an Avery Bradley, took him into the post and made a difficult shot. But I want to see Dwayne Wade do a little bit more on the offensive end. Defensively, pretty happy with it. He's had a couple big blocks, a couple big steals, but we're going to need to see a little bit more offensively out of him.
Yeah, I think the offense really took a step up, though, when the bench came in. Watching Bobby Portis play makes me want to go play basketball. I mean, he sprints like when someone gets a bucket and you're supposed to just jog back up the court. He's on a full sprint. He's nothing but, and it's a positive to watch. I also kept watching them abuse Feliciano yesterday. I mean, they just took advantage of his young and his inexperience, pretty much.
Right. And Joffrey Laverne.
Yeah, I mean, the Bulls have like little experience, and another experience question: where is Denzel Valentine in all of this?
I agree. It's one of the questions I kept asking myself. So if you're looking for floor spacing and some people just to put into the corner so that Jimmy Butler can drive and kick.
Playmakers.
Why doesn't Denzel Valentine get some run here?
Again, this is another management thing. Clearly it wasn't just Thibodeau. Clearly this is a management thought process about rookies in general. I mean, they whenever we drafted Butler, no time. The only reason he got playing time is because we were so hurt. Yes. Then you draft Tony Snell, no tick. Doug McDermott, no tick. Nothing whatsoever. And then it took us getting a D-League team to continuously send down Bobby Portis and Denzel Valentine and Cameron Payne just so they can get some form of run.
Sure, and even what they're doing with that doesn't make sense. So they'll send these guys down for 2 or 3 days. They'll play a game or two down there. They'll tear it up.
They'll have 30. I think Denzel Valentine triple-doubled.
Yes, he did.
In his game down there.
So they'll send these guys down, they'll tear it up, and then they bring them back up to give them a DNP coach's decision. So it doesn't make any sense to me why you're going to send them down there to get some run and then bring them back up to sit back on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, again,
make up your mind.
Yeah, seriously. Have a plan. Stick to that plan. Even if the plan seems very disastrous, you see, remember when they signed Wayne Rondo? I was like, what are we doing? We're going to have the worst shooting backcourt in NBA history playing. But for the first 2 games of this series, it's oh, I see what you're driving at, Chicago. I understand what you're trying to do. Maybe get some key supplemental pieces around those 3, and we could be a threat to the Cavs.
Yeah.
But no one's going to be a threat to the Cavs as long as King James is dribbling a basketball.
The Bulls need to get something more out of Jerian Grant and Michael Carter-Williams. They're literally giving the Bulls nothing on offense at this point in time. They're anemic with them out there. The offense can't run through them. Jerian Grant's a point guard who's not really a point guard and kind of wants to shoot the ball all the time, and he's not a good enough shooter to do that. Yeah, I mean, Jerian's great. I've heard him pronounced Jerian or Jarin, and I liked him because he's a big athletic guard. I mean, I watched him play against Kentucky when he was at Notre Dame, and he gave them fits. I'm a Notre Dame fan. You don't have to tell me that.
Exactly. I mean, he has the potential, but he just can't seem to refine his skills well enough to, make anything about it for an NBA career. So he's just kind of like a dud.
Sure.
An unfortunate dud.
Yeah.
But again, you have 5 point guards. All of them don't have a specific super skill. They all can't shoot.
Sure.
Except Isiah Cannon, hypothetically, I mean, yesterday he had some struggles there. But, like, when you saw Isiah Cannon score yesterday, that was a boost. You saw the bench gather around him, build off that.
That charge he took was huge.
Oh, and then he hit a three.
Yes, he did.
Right after that.
Yep.
And if that next three would have went down, the UC would have went bananas. And you know what? Maybe the Bulls find a way to win that game.
The roof was the ceiling for Isiah Cannon yesterday, in the words of Michael Jordan.
Oh, Michael. Oh, Michael. But again, you know, like you said, D-Wade maybe had a great defensive effort, but just 11 points out of him is not something we need more from Wade.
Sure.
We need 20. We need him to get 20 in the playoffs. Like, that's... I don't care if you sit half the season. I do not care. But when it comes to the playoffs, you need to be ready to go. So
the Bulls let a golden opportunity go here. They won the first 2 games in Boston.
You got to split at home, bare minimum.
They effectively that should have locked the series up for them. You come and win one at home, and then 3-0, you're pretty much, or 3-1 even, pretty much guaranteed to win that.
You
got
to win one game. Yeah, unless you're the Warriors.
Very true. Very true.
That's a different subject for
Isn't
a different
that
time.
the Mavs that beat them that year? Is it the Mavs that beat them?
The Mavs.
Yeah.
What year are you the 8-1 seed?
Yes. The
Yeah.
1-8
Yeah,
upset.
they took the first 2 on the road.
Right.
Then I think they went up 3-0. They lost the next 2,
Yeah.
came home to Golden State, and then won the 6th one.
And that's all that mattered.
Exactly. I mean, you got to line it up for yourself. Now, the Bulls have to go to Boston and pretty much win.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they come home down 3-2, just looking embarrassed.
And let's talk about the big reasons that the Bulls were winning those first 2 games. Rebounding advantage was huge for the Bulls. Game 4, Bulls out-rebounded the Celtics, but it was only 44-41.
Where did Robin Lopez go?
He's playing pretty well, but it's hard for him to play when he has to get out to the arc and defend people. He's a paint defender. He's a rim protector.
I think the addition of Gerald Green to that lineup really changed things for the Celtics.
I can't stand Gerald Green.
Why not? Gerald Green has had a solid NBA career.
Yeah, he's a journeyman, but he's had a solid NBA career. I'm not going to argue with you about that.
I mean, he was formerly known as a dunker.
Right.
And then now he has refined his game to be a spot-up three-point shooter.
But to nobody's surprise, the Bulls shot 5 for 24 from 3. And I feel like every time the Celtics come down the court, they can get an open 3 if they want it.
That's very true. I mean, what happens is they run pick and roll to Isiah Thomas. They usually trap him at the top. Then they kick it to Al Horford. Then Al Horford hits the corners for Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, or Gerald Green. Gerald Green had 16 points and 5 boards at half yesterday.
Yep.
He wrecked the Bulls.
He was draining threes.
Oh, and I mean drilling them. It was insane to watch. So, again, the Bulls and Celtics are tied at 2 apiece. Game 3 is in Boston on Wednesday. What are you looking for the Bulls to do that quickly here?
So they need to shoot better. They need to out-rebound them like they did in the past. That's really going to be the key to the game.
Yep. All right. We will be back after a quick word from our sponsors.